Hey there. So for the tens, if not hundreds of Studio HFL fans, I'd like to say hello, welcome back. I would like to let you know that I've got some more interviews finally coming out. In 2017, I started these interviews. First 50 or so were audio only. And then, of course, thanks to COVID and Zoom, I was able to get video for most of the rest of these interviews. And then life went back to somewhat normal and I stopped editing, and it's been bugging me for some time. So finally, the pendulum has swung the other direction, and here I am finally editing and getting these interviews out. Now, early on, I had sponsors, and I was ever so grateful to have those sponsors. I wouldn't have been able to have quite the success for the podcast that I did without them. Of course, that includes in no particular order, Eastman Music Company and S.E. Shires, Chop Saver, thank you, Dan Gosling, Austin Custom Brass, Hammond Design, Pickett, Blackburn, and Messina Covers. And I think I'm leaving somebody else out of there. I think that's it. Anyways, and also to some Patreon subscribers. Couldn't have done it without you guys either. So thank you ever so much. Oh, yeah. If during the interview you are so moved to like and subscribe, then please do. Don't worry, this is my only ask. You won't see or hear about that again. So now, without further ado, on with the interview.
Is that a bit better? Well, it will be.
Yes, it is. It is. And again, I'm going to use audio off of this, but it would be nice to have more than just a silhouette, and it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it brighter. Just brighter.
Oh, that works. That works. I've been recording this whole time. This is pure gold already.
This is what it's like in my sounds, yeah. Well, I think the thing is, because none of us are working. I don't know if you're working. Are you working?
No. Well, this is my work right now, and I teach a few lessons, but this is really what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, usually trying to do 1,000,001 things in a day or in a week, and you organize everything, and everything's like bang, 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 because you've got to be doing it. But now, because it's just days of nothingness, it just becomes, your brain just turns into some kind of, well,
there we are. Yeah, and okay, so now the lighting's terrific, and I can see you. So, well, young lady, it's really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Very nice to meet you.
Yeah, you've been making quite a splash. At least what I've seen over the last year or so. It's like your name keeps popping up here and there, and social media, of course, has really become everybody's friend lately, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's quite incredible, isn't it, really? Because the world feels so much smaller than it used to. Because when I was growing up, trumpet players from America, musicians from America, you would see them once every couple of years. They'd come over, and that would be the only kind of connection you got with any of the great trumpet stars, And now you'd be just popping up on Facebook or social media or commenting on your video. The world's gone so small. It's quite amazing, isn't it? It's quite terrifying and brilliant at the same time.
Well, it is, but it's also for somebody like me to be able to talk to you, right? We're 5 hours apart. However many miles, a few thousand miles apart. I talked to Tina a couple of months ago in Norway, and who's the other one I talked to in Austria? Well, a couple others in Austria. It's like, who's going to book the airline ticket to make that trip to do the interview? And here we are. This is great.
Exactly. And it's so easy, and it's free. And once you've got the lighting set up, then it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my experience with, and forgive, I don't mean to sound callous in this at all, but my experience with Brits has been, I worked on a Cunard ship 1 year, and then a P&O ship, a couple of P&O ships a few years back, all Brits.
Yeah.
And it was a learning experience for me, because the first thing they would say is, "You all right?"
Yeah. Right.
And that, so that's a greeting. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm fine. Do I not look fine? Yeah, of course I'm all right. And then I was realizing that, oh, wait a minute, it's like, hey.
Any other answer apart from yes, I'm fine is the wrong answer. You know what I mean? All right, how you doing? You all right? And yeah, that's how we say it. But I suppose we've always had the thing that you go to America and they say, have a nice day, or something like that afterwards. Or, people, but yeah, us Brits. You all right?
One thing of course, I don't know if the stereotype of Americans is still this way, but we're very outgoing. We'll hug and shake hands. And one thing I noticed about the British is you guys are just a little more reserved, maybe than, and maybe not you personally, but I'm kind of lumping everybody.
No, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Well, as you know, I don't know, but I do my own show on some of the cruises, the Cunard and things like that.
Oh,
And I do me a one-woman show, 45-minute show sometimes. And I remember getting on an American ship and the British ships, you go in and you get in the lift, everyone's like this, looking, pretending no one's there. And then you get an American ship and they're doing, oh my goodness, I love your necklace. Oh my, I said, oh my God, who are you talking to? It's so different. And I have to show the American audiences, wow, the American audiences are amazing because they cheer and they stand up and they cry and they show and they stand ovations and they're so willing to kind of appreciate what you do. The British audiences, it's like that, It's a big difference.
yeah. So, I've been listening to things you do, and I went on to, it might have been off of your website the other day, and it's a really great piece where you start by singing. And I think it was Wonderful World.
Well, yeah.
What a great video. I mean, that the band sounds great, you sound great vocally, and then holy cow, you light it up on the trumpet. And it's fantastic. So how did you get to where you are? I mean, you're performing, you're entertaining, and of course, I know things are scaled down right now with COVID. But tell me, like, how did you get to where you are at this point?
Well, I started playing trumpet when I was about 9 years old for no reason, just because a teacher came in the room during a math lesson and I hated math. And somebody came in the room and said, does anybody like to play the trumpet? And I thought, well, anything's better than doing fractions. So I'm going with that man. So I basically went with this man, about 6 of us, and we all got a cornet passed round. And he gave me its take home because he said I sounded the least like a pigsty. And that was basically it. I couldn't make a noise out of it. We just, so then we got the free instruments and free lessons, which I'm eternally grateful for because I would never be playing if it wasn't for that. And then I started playing it in ensembles and things like that. And that's such a great thing, isn't it, when you're young, just to play in ensembles, play with other people, because sitting on your own going, and you see, well, it's not much fun, is it? So as soon as you get to start playing with other people, I loved it. And then I wanted to not be on fourth trumpet, I wanted to be on third trumpet and then second trumpet and first trumpet. And I wanted to, do all those things. So, and then I was very lucky. I suppose the major thing that happened is that Bobby Shew would come over to Britain every year. And do you know Bobby? You must know him.
I do. Yeah. What a wonderful guy.
Yeah, it's fabulous. And he would come over every year in Midslam. And we got to get lessons off him. And we got to play with him every year in the band and be inspired by him. And I had some individual lessons with him from about the age of 13. And so that really set me on the path, because he obviously gives you good grounding in the breathing and the chops thing, and really makes you not worry about it or think about it, And so I think I was just very lucky that I didn't kind of think about it that much. So yeah, so that's it. So Bobby was a big influence. Yeah. So it's the Billy something.
Well, so you say that the trumpet really wasn't on your mind, but were you listening? Were you grew up around music? Anything?
I think I remember my mum and dad having one Frank Sinatra album. It was the main event album, black and white cover on the front. And I remember thinking, that album looks so boring. Who'd buy an album like that? It's black and white. There's no, putting it on one day. Probably after I'd started playing the trumpet and just thinking, what is this? And then being absolutely hooked from the moment I listened to that record going, oh my, let's have that again. Turn it over, let's have that again. And so I think for me, Frank Sinatra and the big bands that work with Frank Sinatra, that was the first thing that I just thought, I really want to play the trumpet. I really want to do that. So,
Had you been singing to this point yet?
No, just in the school choirs and things like that. but not anything really, just, in school productions and things. But no, but then I just sang along to Frank Sinatra all the time. I was just growing up and I would just get all these albums and just put them on. I just ended up singing along to him and just enjoying singing along and singing the trumpet phrases but not really singing, I had no intention of kind of doing that really, no.
Mhm. So as you're spending more time on, well, you say you started on cornet. When did you transition to trumpet?
That's 6 months later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't very long for cornet. I tried to go to a brass band and I just didn't fit in with the brass band at all. And they were very, very big where I came from, very, very famous and very big. But I just didn't get on with it. But luckily we had a big band, a jazz orchestra. I swapped. And a few years down the line I started playing with band, yeah.
So early influences, I'm trying to think. Derek Watkins, was he somebody you listened to, or Morris Murphy? Of course, Morris is, orchestral player, but who were you listening to?
Yeah, absolutely, Derek Watkins and Morris Murphy, but more Morris Murphy by osmosis, if you know what I mean. I probably didn't know who
Oh,
I was listening to, but I just knew, oh my goodness, that sounds amazing. People like, have you heard of Kenny Baker? Yeah, okay. Kenny Baker, the trumpet player, used to come and visit us. I mean, this is when I was kind of like, I've been playing 3 or 4 years, done the little youth bands, and then in our band we had these guest artists and things. But I would listen to Kenny Baker, Derek Watkins. People were passing tapes around those. I mean, it wasn't the days of YouTube; it was the days of having a cassette tape and someone going, "Have you heard this? I'll record it for you," So,
right.
so yeah, Derek Watkins, and then people like Harry James. But yeah, a lot of the British trumpet players. But most of the time, it's the people you sat next to that you were your heroes, because they're the people you could get close to and hear more. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
the people that I grew up with, that were the lead trumpet players in my area, they were my absolute heroes. And then because everyone else was so untouchable that it felt, I might have I did go and see Derek Watkins and Tony Fisher and Derek Healy play in concerts, but it wasn't like you could ever get close to them really. Not like can these days.
Hmm. Well, what
Yeah.
about on the vocal
Sorry.
side?
Just shut me up.
No, this is fantastic. I love it when I don't have to, kind of pull answers out of somebody. It's like, just go, and I love it.
So, and I must just tell the people watching that it is 9:30 at night here, and I've got my first glass of Prosecco, right? So it's not in the morning and I'm drinking it.
Okay.
Yeah, but vocally, Doris Day, Peggy Lee, Ella Fitzgerald, obviously, and all the kind of old easy listening, Joe Stafford, and just all that kind of era of singers, really. I mean, I love Diana Krall and people like that, but just anyone who came up from the big band era, really, I was just obsessed with that.
One thing I learned from working on cruise ships is, before I had gotten there, I viewed England as everybody had the same accent. I couldn't tell who was from where.
Yeah.
But after just a month or so, I could distinguish Liverpool from Cornwall, from Manchester. It was like, oh, you start to understand.
Equal. Yeah.
And so you start to realize too that there are, the Liverpool, what do they call them? The Scousers, or I was going to say Liverpudlians, but I don't think that's right. But
that's right.
it is. Okay. They had their favorite artist, not just the Beatles, but they're, people that came from that area. What part of England were you born and raised?
So I'm near Manchester. I'm between Manchester and Liverpool in a little place called Wiggan. Now, Wiggan is either very, very not famous at all, or it's one of those places that's laughed at. So we're the butt of people's jokes. I don't know where in America's like that, but those kind of towns that everyone says, first prize is a wet weekend in Wiggan. They say things like that. So we're the butt of people's jokes. But a lot of jazz musicians would know Wiggan as being the home of an amazing jazz festival. So it was a place that, we had James Morrison there, we had Pat Terry there, we had Dizzy Gillespie there. No, we didn't have Dizzy Gillespie. We had Freddie Hubbard there. We had Maynard Ferguson there. We've had so many people have been to Wiggan. So some of your viewers will know Wiggan because of that, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm from a little tiny town, famous for mining, and a very, very poor town, and not as much money anymore for music and the jazz festival. It's very, very much gone downhill.
Mm-hmm. But you had referenced the brass bands. I mean, with brass band was big in that. Well, it's big everywhere over there, correct?
It is really, it's bigger up north, the north of England, because it comes from mining communities. And so where all the coal mines were, it was one of the pastimes that, the mines, people who own the mines would give the communities brass instruments. It was something they would do. So really popular. And brass bands now in England are making a bit of a resurgence, trying to modern themselves and play up-to-date music. And it is a big thing. We've got leagues of brass bands and competitions. But yeah, it is a big thing. It was just never really for me, because there was just, I've done things, I've stood at brass bands, I've been soloist, but I could never do all the fancy tonking. They've got incredible technique.
It blows me away that they're not full-time musicians and they play so ridiculously well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they're not at all. One of my friends actually runs the brass bands, and he's taken it from the bottom league right up into the top league in about 5 years. And these people turn up every single week, and sometimes they rehearse the same music over and over again for the competitions. But no, the plumbers, plasterers, teachers, doctors, whatever, but they turn up and they practice the brass bands. It's a big
Yeah.
thing.
Well, it's trying to become a big thing here in the States, and I shouldn't say trying. It is. There's a really big brass band movement here in the States, and there's a Great American Brass Band Festival, and it's the one thing that the vibrato is the big thing that I think distinguishes us from you, is that
Yeah.
I think you have to be brought up in it to really understand it and play it correctly.
It's bizarre, isn't it, that thing? Because when I was starting the trumpet, I had lessons first of all with a trumpet player who was very into jazz and big bands, and that was it. So the vibrato was very much of that thing. No vibrato until the end of the note, and everything, all different types of vibrato. And then he left, and I got another teacher who was a cornet player, a champion cornet player, and he would literally play. I didn't know what to do, and he was going, "Yeah, Johnny, you need to put more brass one and meet your hat like this." I'm thinking, well, I'm sure that's not what I'm meant to be doing, but I do think that's different now. And I think lots of brass bands are kind of, they do different, but yeah, that was the main thing.
So, do stereotypes exist? In other words, you can't play trumpet. You're a woman. Is that something that you've encountered in England?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm fairly old now, but I'm quite jealous in a way of the things that are happening these days, with it all being brought to the fore and people openly discussing it. Because the more it's been discussed, the more I look back on kind of 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and think, oh my goodness, yeah, that happened to me, or that person said that wasn't really, appropriate. But at the time, you really do feel like you've been let in to a man's club, and it's whether they'll let you in or not. And I was very lucky that the people around me were really nice, and they let me in. But you really did feel like it was up to you to be let in to their club. But I did have many instances of like turning up to big bands, and I'd be asked to dep. So a trumpet player my age, a male trumpet player, would ask me to dep, and I'd turn up to the big band, and the big band leader would say, who are you? And I'd say, well, Andy, the lead trumpet player, has asked me to dep for him on lead. And he'd go, I don't think so. And fourth trumpet, and just all kinds of things. Another occasion, I depped for someone in quite a famous big band. I was depped on lead trumpet, and it started with Eager Beaver. And there's a big trumpet thing at the beginning, and I played these first 8 bars, and he went, stop, stop, stop. And I thought, oh my God, what have I done? And he pointed at me and went, you, open your legs. Are you sure you've not got a pair down here? Oh, and I didn't know what to say. And I kind of took it as a compliment, because I knew that he meant well, but it was a bit, but yeah, you kind of look back and you think, I wouldn't to say that these days.
No, you couldn't get away with that. No,
With that.
and not keep your job for sure.
Exactly.
And
There was lots of those things, and I kind of always said I always got a lot of attention for being female and playing. I think lost a lot of jobs for being female, and I probably gained some other jobs for being female. So it may balance itself out, but I think it's a difficult job being a female musician, and not because of people's attitudes a lot of time, just because of the profession it is, and it's just difficult, isn't it? But yes, I have a lot of comments, and still quite a lot of comments, I suppose, and But
Well, hopefully those are going to disappear. Hopefully that'll go away for forever.
yeah,
Carol Dawn Reinhardt. I don't know if you're familiar with Carol, but she was one of the first female trumpet players to be a soloist for an orchestra. And of course, Abby Conant. I don't know if you know Abby. She's a trombone player who the first female in the Munich Philharmonic, Munich Symphony. But these people who broke this glass ceiling, as it were. And, I've had the opportunity to interview both of them, and they spoke about prejudice and bias and having to make their way in a man's world. And it's really interesting to hear, me being a guy and thinking, I didn't really grow up that way with that perspective, and I'm grateful for that. But I know it still exists with a lot of people. So it's, again, I hope that this is a few, other than in history books at some point.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I was looking back the other night, and I'm on a BBC Big Band video with George Benson quite a long time ago, and that made me think. I think I was the first woman to ever play with BBC Big Band, and definitely the first female trumpet player. And then you look back and think, you've been the first woman to do that on the trumpet. But you don't kind of realize it at the time, and you don't realize because nowadays there's so many, and so many more female players playing. But 20 years ago, I can't say 20 years ago, there was hardly any of us, there really was. And it was difficult. And you'd have people saying things like, okay, well, you can come and play in the band, but I do want you to wear a short skirt and high heels. And it doesn't look great when you puff your cheeks out. So can we maybe not look like that? And it was all about, that type of thing, really. Yeah. And you'd be sitting next to men in the section, and, they'd be, it just is a very male atmosphere, and you have to put up with it, or you go away,
Right.
And but it's changed. Things have changed, hopefully.
As a lead player, who do you, well, early on, I mean, you're your own lead player at this point, but early on, who were you really trying to emulate?
Oh, definitely like Snooky Young.
Oh, yeah.
All the basic trumpet players. I love Byron Stripling as well. Son of Byron Stripling. I'm really shocking at names. But and the man who plays lead trumpet with Thad Jones Melodies, El Gardner as well. So just really I really like lead trumpet players who've got massive, great big sounds, and who put it exactly onto, and are incredibly swingy. And and that's what I'm really into. I'm not massively into ridiculously high notes and things like that. It's not, it doesn't really do much to me, but a lead trumpet player who just whacks it down with great style and a bit of swing is, that's kind
Right.
of what
Yeah, I think somebody, and I've interviewed so many people now, I can't remember who to attribute this quote to, but it's like, you have your low register, low C, your high register, double high C, and then the cash register. It's everything in between.
Oh, I see. That's
Right? It's like, this is
Yeah.
where you make your money. You don't have to have, maybe an F or a G, right? But you don't have to have the double C all the time.
Bobby Shew always told me that to play lead trumpet, that you needed a good consistent top G, F, G's, but you needed a good top G, and really that was it. But in those days, the music was written, so that top G was the highest. You'd occasionally get a double A or something like that, but if you could whack out a top G, you'd be kind of, most things will be covered. And now people have got too clever, and now it's kind of like, oh, is that it? But yeah, so I just like the players who've just got this big sound, and it's about the sound, and it's about the time, and that's and the music, that's kind of what.
Well, that comes through. All those influences, I think, come through in your playing. Even going back to that "What a Wonderful World" video, is you hear your sound, and it's, to me, I hear a little bit of Doc Severinsen
Oh, I love
in
that.
that.
Yeah, I love Doc Severinsen, and I love Maynard Ferguson as well. Absolutely love Maynard Ferguson, but I don't, but yeah, Doc Severinsen. Wow, yeah, I was watching videos of him the other night, and it's just this incredible, like, sparkly kind of just joyous sound, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that, because I do. Yeah, he's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I hear him, and of course, that's a Louis Armstrong tune that you're doing, But Lewis wasn't necessarily a lead trumpet player. He was the soloist.
Yeah.
But again, I kind of like that you had your own take on that tune, and it was a great arrangement too.
Well, isn't it a great arrangement? It's by Evan Jolly, that arrangement. And Evan writes now, I got Evan to do that arrangement for me quite a long time ago when he was cheap. And now he's very expensive. He writes for films and computer games and all kinds of things now. He's fabulous, yeah. And I'm collaborating with him again now. Now we're all out of work. He might be a bit cheap, you never know. But anyway, but no, Evan Jolly, he's absolutely fabulous, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this cruise show that you do. You said it's a one-woman show?
Yeah. What were you in the bands on Cunard, did you?
Yeah, I was on the Queen Mary 2, and then with P&O, I was on the Oceana and the Arcadia.
Oh, yeah, I've done those. You worked with Bill Gibson, were you on Queen Mary 2?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the Royal Court Theatre. Yes, I was there.
Yeah. So I go on. I started doing that 3 or 4 years ago because I do a lot of jazz clubs in Britain and my own show ran Little Art Centre theatres. But I mean, obviously England's not that big, and so once you've done the jazz clubs that are here to have done, then you kind of twiddling your thumbs a bit, really. And I've done shows in the West End, and it's not really what I want to be doing, and there's lots of praise are amazing at that. And I just kind of like getting the thing really on a bit. So someone suggested to me that I did that fly on fly off cabaret artist. And so basically do a 45-minute show. And I would sing and I play the trumpet and I chat and then I sing and then I play the trumpet again. And it's 45 minutes and it's really hard work, actually, as you know, while you're on stage, it's hard work, and then you have a lot of time off. And I'm very grateful. It's been a thing that's really it's been great. It's been great for me. It's been a great way of life. And last year, I combined that with playing lead trumpet with a big band in Denmark, the Aarhus Jazz Orchestra in Denmark. I did that for a year, which was a great challenge to be back playing lead trumpet again, because playing lead trumpet isn't something I've done for quite a while, really.
Mm-hmm.
When you're soloist, you can get to choose what you do.
Right.
You get given.
Going between speaking and playing or singing and playing, I led a group for a while. We toured, and I would talk to the audience between tunes. But one of the hardest things I found was being able to make that transition from speaking to putting the horn up and going. And I think that, so when you talk about this show where you're chatting with the audience and then you're singing and playing, that's not easy. And I know that because, you have to rehearse this. You have to know. And were you pretty true to a script, or did you improvise a little with what you said on occasion?
I think at the beginning, I really wrote a script down. I really wanted to be sure, because I think doing a 45-minute show is very different to being in a jazz club. In a jazz club, you can kind of, things come into your head. It's much looser, but doing a 45-minute show, I really felt that I had to kind of script it. So I did script it. And then it was really a matter of, we forget as, where do you put the trumpet? How do you bend down? Where's your music? So I've got the trumpets on a trombone stand, so it's at the right height for me, because it doesn't look great when you're bending down to get your trumpet and bending down for your mute. So you have to think about those things, where's the microphone going to be? It's all little things like that. So nowadays it's scripted because I've done it so much. It's a bit looser, but I have got to be careful that I don't speak too fast and too northern, because then people don't understand me. So I have to slow down. But then the other thing is you're talking, you've got lipstick on, and then you're singing, and all of a sudden, you've got to put your trumpet up to your lips. Sometimes the stage is like that because you're on rough seas. I'm in like 2-inch high heels as well, which doesn't help, with the balance. Right. And then somebody just put your trumpet on your chops, and it's not where it should be. You know what I mean? So you have to develop like 5 ambitions just in case.
Yeah. The roughest patch I remember, I think you guys refer to it as the bag of biscuits. Coming around Portugal, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Bill, and so that means you had charts, right? You had 3, 4 horn charts, rhythm, and
yeah, absolutely. The 1 trumpet, 2 saxes, 1 trombone, 3, 4 rhythm, and the Queen Mary. Yeah, so I've got all my my shows are arranged for a big band and 7-piece and 6-piece and trio. So yeah, I had my chats. Yeah.
Who did them?
My chats are done by different people. Pete Long is a saxophone player. I did some of them. And it's funny when you go to cruise ship for the first time because you don't know what standard or, you don't know anything. So sometimes you're giving charts out and people are going, what is this? You know what I mean? And sometimes it's too easy and sometimes it's like rehearsing. You just don't know. And you've got, as you know, we've got 45 minutes to rehearse a 45-minute show. It's bang.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was asking because, sometimes we'd sit there and a guest ent would come on and we'd get to rehearsal. And of course, if you've done the show before, you top and tail it and, okay, see you tonight. But there were times, and I'm not going to mention certain names, but it's like, oh my gosh, these charts are coming.
What are you going to mention?
They're the most crap charts you've ever played in your life. And so I apologize if that's one of your arrangers, but
I don't use, I probably have a couple in my pad from just because the standard stock ones, but all my arrangements are done for me because they feature trumpet and vocal and because I don't do songs that you can just buy. But some people, as you know, they're just buying things or just getting free charts off the internet, and they're expecting musicians like you to make it sound good. And then they complain when it doesn't. And you're like, well, this is what I've got to do. So,
right.
So I do make sure that, my charts are good and clear. But I think at the start, maybe I was wanting them to be too complicated and, time changes and things like that. And it's not a lot of time to get it together with the best will in the world, with everybody. And so they're all written for me. And I used to sit down with the arrangers and say, I want to do this bit, I want to do that bit, and listen and sketch out little things, and they do it. And thankfully, the band seem to enjoy playing my show. They seem to enjoy playing the charts because they think we're well written. So
there's a lot of bitterness and jadedness in cruise ship musicians. I was only there for a short time, but holy cow, and now I enjoyed when guest ents would come on. I made a lot of friends, and not just because you guys would buy us drinks between shows. it was there were other reasons, but it was nice to do. I thought, what, my job is to play it and play it well, and even if it's a bad arrangement, I still have to do my best on this. And so I enjoyed it, but I was also a lot older than a lot of those people there.
Well, that's it. It's always great if I turn around and I see somebody who's kind of not 19 or 20. I think, well, we've got somebody in common and they've seen a lot of music and things. Because sometimes, you want to do a swing show and people aren't that familiar with that genre of music. So
yeah,
I mean, I did the same kind of work, sitting and getting charts and sight reading and things like that. And it's tough and it's stressful, isn't it? And that's when you get to go home every night, when you're on a cruise ship and you've got to go back and live with the people. It's
good
experience.
It is.
Isn't it?
Well, and who knows if it'll ever return. I mean, the cruise industry has just been decimated. Well, just like, our industry is, but
cruise, especially. I was doing 20 a year, it was mostly my income.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's tough because it's difficult to fly around the world and do anything these days, isn't it? And it's difficult to get a big band in a room. It's just difficult. Yeah. So live streaming is the way, and videos.
Yeah. Do you teach at all?
Actually, a qualified primary school teacher, which is your elementary school teacher. Yeah, I qualified. I got disillusioned in music about 15 years ago, like we all do at them. About 18 years ago, I trained to be primary school teacher. I got fed up with late nights, fed up with traveling. And so I'm a qualified elementary school teacher, and I do teach brass and I do teach singing, but I haven't been doing it because I haven't been doing it. And it's very difficult. You get back from all your jobs and go, hey, I'm back here. I'd like to teach you. And everybody's got the teachers already set up. And so I would like to do some teaching because I really enjoy it. And so we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, not at the moment, but I am open to it, definitely. Yeah.
So what lies in the future for you? I mean, if the cruise industry has kind of gone one way, and let's say that everything else comes back to normal, do you want to be touring as a soloist?
Yeah, that's definitely what I want to do. And the last couple of years, I've been kind of doing more of that, really. I've got my own big band set, which has got trumpet features in. I went to Brazil last year and did a concert there at the Trumpet Festival. And I really enjoy doing these trumpet festivals because there's, especially the big band jazz ones, because there's hardly any women there at all. And I do the Maynard features and things like that. And it just surprises, it's nice to surprise people occasionally with, because it, like you say, they don't expect.
Yeah.
It, which I can play on. It's kind of good. But so I'd like to go do, guesting with big bands, bit of singing, bit of playing, and make a nice show really. But we'll just have to see. But that's my ideal. That would be my ideal situation. And record another album. I've got some tracks that were recorded on lockdown. I'm going to release them. You'll probably know from the Tonight Show band. They did a version with Taking What You Do Is the Way That You Do It. With
yeah.
And so we've just recorded a big band version of that, and I'm going to be releasing that on video. So a bit of
Very cool. Very cool. So you mentioned Brazil. Did Bruno, is he the one that brought you in? Yeah. Whatever.
Oh, I know they do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I met Bruno at the ITG conference in Miami last year in 2018.
Yeah.
And we shared a flat just call it a flat. We shared a B&B for a week while we were down there. And I everybody knew him. And I'm like, who the heck are you? Right. And then I realized he knows more people than I do. He knows, Bruno knows everybody.
He does. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Bruno invited me down there. Festival. Oh, mate, so friendly. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
We go crazy for trumpets over there, and he got a fabulous big band to play with. But yeah, Bruno knows everyone, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, James Morrison was there when I was there, and Ronald Rom was there as well. And yeah, it was fabulous. We had a really good time. And so that's the kind of thing I'd like to be doing. I was lucky enough to do it. And if people thought what I had was something different to add to a festival, then that would be really nice. Yeah.
Well, you have to play well, and you do. You have to have an image, and you do. And you kind of have to have a niche, right? I mean, you have to, it's like the only person who can do this is Georgina.
Yeah, that's
right.
You want to try and create that, but yeah, exactly. That's what I want to try and create. And then on the cruise ships, but it works, But yeah, I'll keep practicing and keep fighting. It won't happen. Yeah.
So what's the practicing like? You brought that up. What's the practicing like for you right now?
Have you spoken to lots of people during lockdown?
You would not believe how many. Yeah, this is about 60. I've done 60 of these since lockdown.
How's everyone's practice? What people say?
We're talking major symphony principal trumpet players to jazz artists, Byron Stripling included, putting the horn down for, any length of time. But it's like everybody just, I've got nothing on the calendar. What do I, no motivation to practice. So
people are saying that. Yeah, it's not just me.
Absolutely.
And that's good. That is good to know because, I think when it started off, I went through stages of going, right, I really want to practice my jazz playing. It's been something I really wanted to work at. I'm going to transcribe to the solos. I'm going to get this. I'm going to practice this. And then every day I was, and then you go, oh, what's all this for? Has anyone heard this? And then you put it away and then something happens and you listen to a bit of music. And then even turning off music because you don't want to hear it, even kind of going, this just upsets me too much, reminds me too much of what's not happening. And then from great evenings of listening to Count Basie all night and listening to going on YouTube or every trumpet player you can think of, But yeah, tricky. You want to use this time to sort out the problems that you're playing and to do that. And I'd like to use this time to go and get some more coaching and to learn more things and to study more things. But we're only human and we're not perfect, are we? So,
no, and you know what? And that's okay. That's okay. I took, I think it was 6 or 7 weeks off, which is the longest I had. Of course, I was doing a lot of interviews, but coming back to the horn, I've rediscovered my low register. It's like it's better than it's ever been.
Okay.
So, I don't know if maybe I let some calluses or scars, disappear.
Well, there would seem to be said, isn't it? It's kind of taking a bit of a break and refreshing stuff. I mean, you probably heard of Louis Dowd's ball, Louis.
Oh, yeah. What a beast.
Oh, I live kind of opposite Louis, you know. In fact, I helped him, you know, we're very good friends, and we've been having this chat about, and Louis left his trumpet alone he's been doing up his house, so he's not going to practice for ages. And then he'll pick it up and he'll go, oh, I've got to have a couple of days to get my chops in, so I'm doing something or other. And so, you know, someone like him can leave it alone, and he's obsessed with the trumpet, you know what I mean? It's just, and then, so I kind of leave it alone. And when I have to get it back for something, I will pick it up for 2 or 3 days before it. But it's a bit depressing because you should want to pick it up every day and play. But like I say, comes in patches. And I want to be better. I want to be much better when I come back out of all this than I was before, or else it'll feel like a massive waste of time. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think we all will come out better. And I think if anything's better, I think everybody's appreciation for making live music again will be heightened.
Yeah, absolutely. And the gigs, have you done anything since lockdown? Have you done?
I did 2 studio dates,
Oh.
1 brass quintet, and I have a brass quintet job this weekend, and then nothing until March. It's ridiculous.
How are people keeping the chops into to do that?
Well, I teach at a university, so, you know,
Right.
I have to make sure that I can at least play what I'm assigning my students.
Yeah. And I think for students, it must be a tough time to go to university, really must be. But we have to just remember it's not forever. And we're going to look back on this and go, do you remember? Well,
Right.
we're sort of spend that time doing this. I mean, I'm practicing the piano, I'm trying to get all kinds of skills going. I'm learning how to use Logic, I'm learning how to use Final Cut Pro, I'm learning, you know, I'm trying to use the time to do all kinds of things really. But, you know, the trumpet's so horrible, isn't it? Because you only put it down for a few days and then, you know, and then it's like, oh. So I think woodwind players, no, it's an awful thing to say, but saxophone players, they can just,
Well, string players too, right? I mean, they might build up calluses again, but yeah, the brass players, we're in a
oh yeah.
rough way.
Yeah, we really are. And you feel guilty of not picking up. And you know that by not picking it up that day, you're just piling up problems for yourself. You know, you're going to make it worse down the line. So I try and leave it. I try and do what Bobby Shew told me when I was little and I didn't practice, was to leave my trumpet lying about the house, leave it anywhere. And when you're walking past it, just pick it up and play a couple of notes and
Yeah.
just make sure you
Yeah.
got it on your face a bit every day. Yeah.
Right after I interviewed Bobby, all of a sudden he just started sending me all kinds of information. Sent me a book, sent me all this because he's just into all this. I mean, the science of trumpet playing. Well,
Yeah.
it's fascinating. I mean, and he's really good at explaining it and opened my eyes. Really enjoyed talking to him about that. But I've also enjoyed talking to you today too. This is the truth.
Yeah, Larry. Yeah, really enjoyed talking. I've not gabbled on too much and it's been yeah. But
No, it's great. I wish I had remembered to push record. I'm just kidding. I did it.
And I wish I'd got my lights better. You can just about see me. There we go. At least I'll
No,
know.
yeah. So if you're ever in the States
Yes.
and ever in
Oh, yeah.
Indianapolis, Indiana, you know where Chicago is?
Yeah, I did the musical for it years and years. But no.
Okay, well, Chicago, I'm about 3 hours south of Chicago.
Yeah, you see, in your country, that's like close. Like I'm just down the road. I mean, do you know what Scotland is? I'm about a career.
No, I told somebody this. I say Little Brass came to Birmingham, not Birmingham, Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
So it's an 8-hour drive. My wife and I got in the car. We drove 8 hours to Birmingham, you know, stayed overnight, saw the show, came back the next day. And I told somebody that from England that I had done that. And they said, you know, in 8 hours, we can be like to the north of Scotland or further. I don't know. Maybe you end up in the sea at that point, but
You could probably be the south of France, to be honest.
so, you know, of course, perspective, you know, the States,
Yeah.
space here.
There is, I know I've flown over there quite a few times and you go,
Yeah.
oh, they're still popping.
Uh-oh.
And Illinois, lovely. I will do. Well, if you ever need, you know, anyone at your university to come and talk,
I would love to have you as part of that. Yeah.
let me know. Especially when I'm back on the cruises and we're flying about, you know, I can always do a detour.
Yeah. Well, it would be lovely to meet you in person at some point. And
Thank you. Thank
I
you so
hope
much
that
for asking
happens.
me.
Yeah. So,
And,
well, I will let you know when all this is ready to come out.
yeah,
And thank you very much for today. It's been a real
thank
pleasure.
you. Oh, it's been lovely. Thanks ever so much. And I can't wait to see all your other interviews and with people because
Yeah.
we need to stick together, don't we, as trumpet players? We've got a lot in common. We've
Yes,
never
we do.
met, but we've got a lot in common.
So, all right. Well, cheers.
See you soon. Cheers to you.
All righty. Bye bye.
Bye, bye.